Hi everyone. So today I'm going to compare Pixel 7a with S23. And I know at first this might not sound like a fair comparison, but I've done so many comparison with different price range and most of the time the cheaper phone had so much more to offer. But in this video I just want to check whether this stands true still or you should pay extra and get S23. I don't usually talk about specs, but if you really want to go for higher spec version, you have to go with this S23 because you can get 256 GB storage and you will also get UFS 4.0 if you don't go with that 128 GB variant. Where in Pixel 7a, you will only get 128 GB variant, which is UFS 3.1. So you will get higher storage and more storage in S23. And I know for a lot of people, that's a big issue. So if you want more storage, there is no competition. If I talk about the design, my personal preference will be S23. It is a compact phone, even though they both have similar size screen, it is lighter and the front has uniform bezels. The overall device does look premium. Pixel 7 it doesn't feel cheap, but it does look cheap, especially from the front. I definitely agree that the plastic is more durable, but the quality control issues on Pixel 7a makes it a more uncomfortable device to hold. It has sharp edges on every corner, so you will have to use this device with a case. That will make this device more bulky. So for me in design and build, S23 wins hands down. There is one area Pixel 7a performs a little bit better, and that is going to be the haptics. So Pixel 7a does not have a better motor, but the haptic feedback coming from the UI itself is much better on this. Samsung do have a superior motor, but the feedback from One UI is not intuitive, so the overall experience of haptic is much better on Pixel. Like I mentioned before, both S23 and Pixel 7a have same 6.1-inch display, but the panel is vastly different. S23 offers high refresh rate display with variable refresh rate, where Pixel 7 only offers 90Hz refresh rate, which is fixed. Don't get me wrong, I will still pick Pixel 7a over S23 in terms of smoothness, but everything else is just better on S23. It has better colors, amazing brightness, better HDR performance, better PWM flickering control, and just overall a better media experience. Even the speakers are much better on S23. Pixel 7 speakers are really loud, but they're more treble heavy. So if you go louder, this might be a little bit sharp to your ears. Let's see the comparison. There is one thing that I feel is better on Pixel 7a, that is the software experience. It is just more aesthetically pleasing, it feels more refined, and the animations are so much better. See, the software experience on S23 is actually really good, and this is by far the best experience you can get on a Samsung phone, like hands down. But Google somehow takes it up a little bit. Also, you will get faster update on Pixel 7a, so if you care about that, go for Pixel. But on Samsung, you will get one extra year of update, so like you have to weigh your options. Google do offer better AI features. I mean, you have seen their IO, like generative AI. But other than that, you will get more editing option in Google Photos. So on any other device, you will have to purchase that Google One. You get offline dictation, which is best by far on Google Pixel than any other phone right now. You also get that call filtering. I know it's not available in India, but in many countries it's still available. And the small feature like now playing, I really like that feature. I know you can get it on Samsung as well by doing something, but it's out of the box on Pixel. Samsung do offer some features extra. I mean, I think the multitasking experience is much better on Samsung. You also get that DeX. I mean, Pixel doesn't even offer the HDMI output, even though it is USB 3.1. But there are some areas where S23 will beat the hell out of Pixel 7a, and that is going to be the performance, graphic, efficiency, charging speed, battery life, and even the heat dissipation is better on the smaller chassis. These all features are related to that one chipset, except the charging speed. So let's talk about the charging speed first. So you will get 25-watt charging speed on S23. On the bigger brother, you will get 45, but here it's only 25 watt. On Pixel, I think it's not clear. Some people say it's 18 watt. Some people have seen like up to 25 watt as well. So let's suppose it is 22 watt like Pixel 7, but it drops very easily. So the S23 takes around 1 hour to fully charge, but in this case, Pixel 7a sometimes takes over 2 hours because I think it dropped down to 10 watt very easily, especially if there's a heat in your room. I mean, the AC is not working. The Pixel charging is very slow. I mean, that would have been okay if the battery life was great, but that is also one area where I think Pixel 7 is not great only because of that Tensor G2. The standby is not great at all. I mean, overnight, this phone takes around 10 to 15%, and my S23 usually takes around 2 to 3%. So that's a huge difference. Also, if you use your phone on mobile data, the battery goes down like anything. So on a mobile data, this is not a 1 day phone. So I would say in today's generation, you need a phone that can last at least a single day on just mobile data. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Which brings me to the other issue that I've been facing with Pixel 7a. The cell reception is weak on Pixel 7a as compared to S23. You can check my initial video for more info about it. There is wireless charging on Pixel 7a, but it's half the speed of S23. Also, it is very slow. I don't know, it's because of the adaptive charging. So I left my phone overnight on wireless charger and it was still on 87%. I don't know what happened, but it was very slow. So you need to think about that as well. But if that was not enough, the heating issues on this phone is crazy. I mean, if you are at home and using Wi-Fi and if you're under AC or the temperature is under 30 degrees Celsius, you're fine with this phone. This is a great phone. So in some countries where this actually, like, it's mostly winter, this phone is going to perform amazing. I really don't have any issue if I'm using it under AC. But whenever I turn off the AC or the temperature increase after 35 degrees Celsius, this phone heats up like anything. I'm not saying that S23 doesn't heat up. It also heats up from this side, but it's not uncomfortable while using. With Pixel 7a, it does heat up on left side and most of the phone is usually warm. And if you're using it outside on 4G or 5G and doing anything, this phone gets uncomfortable. And that's the biggest issue. So if you're in a country like India or live in north side where the temperature goes to like 40 degree, this is 42-degree right now, this phone is not going to perform better. It is going to throttle like crazy. Now, the one place where I think Pixel has an edge over S23, I would say Pixel devices in general have an edge over any other phone, is going to be the photos. But let's talk about the telephoto first because the Pixel 7a doesn't have a telephoto lens. So here I'm using the 3x telephoto on S23 and 3x digital zoom on Pixel 7a. As this is coming from a main sensor, Pixel 7 does produce better colors, but the details are missing on Pixel 7a, which is fair. I think you can get away with these shots unless you have to zoom in further. The ultra-wide lens is great on both of them, but if I have to pick one, I'll go with Pixel because of much better color reproduction, and the HDR performance is also better on Pixel 7a. S23 is just scaling the highlights and shadows. If we talk about the main sensor, I would say the new 64 megapixel is doing a great job. Look at the trees on the right side, the color looks so good and natural as compared to the oversaturated look and the greens on S23. This trend will continue in every picture, like this flower or the next one. The shallow depth of field is great on both of the phones. I also like the dynamic range on Pixel 7a. You can see more in the shadows even though outside of the house it's a little bit overexposed. But overall, they both are doing great job in terms of HDR. S23 also oversharpens pictures a lot. As you can see on the carpet, you can see the details are a little bit unnatural where Pixel 7a is as close as it can be. In the next picture, you can see the skin tones of my partner has turned red on S23, but on Pixel 7a, it is quite natural. I tried to take portrait shot on Pixel 7a, but somehow it didn't add that depth of feel. But anyway, the skin tone is on point on Pixel as compared to S23. The night mode shots are a little bit better on Pixel 7a, where S23 is trying to reduce the noise by making the picture a bit soft. And it is the same case in the next picture. It was pitch dark. And there is a lot of noise on Pixel 7a, where S23 is reducing noise, but the picture is a little bit soft. And there is one thing to note, Pixel 7a only opened the shutter speed for 3 seconds, but S23 took 5 seconds, and this is the result. Front camera, I would say it's a little bit better on S23. They both are not doing a great job. I don't like the skin color on both of them, but if I just have to pick one, the S23 is a little bit better in terms of photos. The video calls, I think the Pixel does a better job, but here I would pick S23. Also in the portrait mode, the edge detection is better on S23. The video recording is a different story altogether, so let's see some video example first. Hi everyone, so I'm recording from the front camera of Pixel 7a and S23. S23 can record 4K 60 frames per second from front camera as well, but for this video I'm just doing 4K 30 frames per second. So you can see the video quality. I'm recording from both of the phones and you can see the audio quality and HDR as well. So let me know which video quality you like. I think the Samsung looks really sharp as compared to Pixel 7a. So I'm recording from both S23 and Pixel 7a or 4K 30 frames per second. They both can do 4K 60 frames per second, but this video is going to be 4K 30. So you can see the stabilization. Now I'm walking and you can see if there's any sort of jitter while I'm walking. Pixel 7a seems more smooth, but I think there are more jitters when you move the phone around and when you walk. But yeah, I think quality wise S23 is a bit better. But the color wise, I would say I think Pixel 7 is doing a much better job. So this is the video quality from both of the phones. So yeah, I think if it comes to video, I would still prefer S23. I think the stabilization is much better. Even I think the color has been a little bit better on S23. I know in video I said the Pixel is doing better, but when I see on my display, I think even the color reproduction on videos in S23 is much better than Pixel 7a. Now we know where these phones stand. So let's talk about the price because there is a huge difference between them. So you can get this phone for $500 and you can get this phone for $800. Now I'm not talking about US prices, that's the base prices, but I'm talking about here in India after conversion because it is around 40,000 rupees and this is for 65,000 rupees after all the discounts. So yeah, $500, $800, and there's that $300 difference where I think in this case you should spend it if you can afford it. Definitely go for S23. It's a much better device overall. I mean, it is a proper flagship phone and you get everything like on a next level. But if you want better photos, better software experience, and if you don't want to spend that much money, Pixel 7a is a very good device, but you can also look for Pixel 7 that is going to be similarly priced. I will still not recommend this device for people like in India where you are in North India and the temperature is around 40 degree. This device is not going to do justice for the price. But anywhere else, if the temperature is under 30 degree or you just stay at home, use AC every time, this is a good phone. This is a value for money phone. It's not overpriced at all. It's just a Tensor G2 doesn't make sense here. Let me know if you used any of this phone. How was your experience? If you want to ask any sort of question, you can ask in the comment box or you can just follow me on Twitter for latest updates. Thank you for staying this long. My name is Rohit. I'll see you next one. Till then.